Welcome to PJTV. I'm Stephen Cruiser. Joining me today is Pamela Gorman, Arizona State Senator and congressional candidate. Pamela, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me,
Continuing
Stephen.
a long line of strong Arizona female politicians, including my mother.
Really?
I just wanted, yes, I did. I never sprung that one on you before.
No, I hadn't heard that.
You've had a big week so far, haven't you?
Yes, to
You
say
had.
the least.
Let's start with the video.
This year, a lot of folks think this is our best shot at changing Congress. Of course, that all depends on the caliber of our candidates. Meet Pamela Gorman, candidate for Congress in Arizona 3, conservative Christian, and a pretty fair shot. The insiders in the state Senate wanted to have her hide when she fought against their plan for higher taxes. But Gorman, she can take care of herself. Rated 100% by the NRA, conservative Pamela Gorman is always right on target.
Tell everybody about the video.
Well, I had a bunch of volunteers who said, you know, you're the only real Second Amendment fighter out of 10 people in your race. It's a part of our family culture. We actually like to go out and shoot at the range and, you know, things of that nature. And they said, you need to make sure voters know that because that matters to a lot of people in our district. And so some volunteers said, let's go out and shoot. This was about a month ago, and a friend of mine took me out, and he has a terrific historical collection of guns, and we just had a blast. And I took my son out, and it was like a whole movie they shot while we were out there. But recently, a couple other volunteers took that footage and put it together, and they say it's a little tongue-in-cheek, you know, but it's all volunteers, including the voiceovers, just a guy that sings in his church and was willing to come in and talk his way through the script we wrote. And it has had so many hits, and largely because the left is so horrified that, you know, there is a firearm
Anywhere.
on TV. Yeah,
anywhere.
on TV,
Yeah,
anywhere.
no, it's like on Earth.
Yeah, and it's just caused a firestorm of good and bad attention. But it's really funny to me because I think, really? Is that, you know, I'm a serious politician. I work on hardcore conservative issues, and I'm a workhorse. And finally I get recognized because I shot a submachine gun on a home movie.
Which was the most awesome part of the video, by the way. You with the Tommy gun. I got to tell you, that was fantastic.
If you ever have the opportunity to get your hands on one of those just to go out, you know, and shoot some targets, it is really...
I'm going to do that for lunch today, I think.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. You've gotten a lot of national exposure off of that. Is the video at your website?
Yeah, you can go to gorman2010.com.
Okay.
And it's on my blog. It's right on the homepage right now. It's the first blog entry, and just click on there. And there's also a contribution button on there if anybody's looking for one.
Let's talk about all the issues that are near and dear to the hearts of Tea Party people like myself. Chief among them, of course, spending.
Right.
Or what's become spending now, which is kind of this hyper insane spending, and taxation. Now, you've got a really good, solid record in Arizona battling both, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've sponsored a lot of bills over the time that I've been in the legislature, trying to both rein in spending as well as cut taxes. I fought tax increases. In fact, last year I had one of the biggest battles of my career fighting a tax increase that unfortunately was proposed by the Republicans in the legislature and the governor, and cost me a lot politically. You know, you really make the wrong people angry when you stand up to their tax increase publicly, but you know, it's not what I went there to do. I didn't go there to raise taxes on Arizonans, and I just refused to do it. And it was strange to see how many people came out in support of a tax increase, how much money went into passing that at the ballot. But I'm proud to say it didn't get out of the legislature on my watch. They didn't pass it till I was gone.
Which brings me to the point that perplexes me the most. When you and I were first talking about this, especially in this current era right now with the Tea Party ascendant, the GOP on the brink of disaster for several election cycles right now, how in the world does the GOP, during this economy, during this national administration, decide that a tax increase is a good idea? What was the thinking behind that?
The thinking was they wanted the revenues. You know, what's sad is it doesn't matter whether it's Republicans or Democrats. Tax increases are also always just about wanting people's money. And, you know, it kind of shifts what you want the money for, maybe, but the reality is we had a 38% drop in our revenues, which means we had to cut dramatically to bring government in line with what we could afford, or they had to go out and look for revenues. Revenues is a fancy way of saying taxes. And we didn't have the political will in our caucus. The people were unwilling to make the necessary cuts. The governor, regardless of what she's saying in interviews now, was unwilling to sign on to some of our cuts that we managed to get the votes for. in our I was the whip, so I had to count votes. And we had the votes for some pretty dramatic and maybe politically damaging cuts, but it was the right thing to do. But the governor absolutely would not sign on to them. She wanted that tax increase.
You're in a race that's got, what, 642 people vying for the Republican nomination?
Give or take 632.
Okay,
yes.
so you got 10 people vying for the Republican nomination here.
Right.
And you see in multi-candidate primaries in the GOP all over the country right now, where they'll have a lot of people who are sincere and obviously want to do something, and it can't all just be vanity. But in almost every one of these races that I've seen around the country, there's only one solid kind of Tea Party candidate, which to me is indicative of a bigger problem in the GOP right now, where in this current climate, I think they should all be Tea Party candidates, and we're just trying to differentiate little things.
Right.
But do you see this as being an ongoing problem for the GOP as a whole? Or is this, or will one or two breakthrough Tea Party candidates be able to change the thinking?
I think we can change the thinking, but it's a big organization. It doesn't move fast. But what do they say? If you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. I'm from Iowa. I'm full of this. But the thing of it is the GOP is not well organized in Arizona. They're not vetting candidates. So when you see people spring up, it's basically anybody who can collect signatures, or in the case of one of my opponents, if your daddy can go out and raise you a bunch of money, you can be in the race. And that's the unfortunate thing. So you're getting just candidates that don't represent the heart of this nation right now. They certainly don't represent the heart of CD3 in Arizona, where I'm running. And I don't know how they possibly have a chance, except if they lie about who they are when they run, which is largely what we're seeing. Is I'm nobody to the right of me. Let's be honest. I'm pretty far to the right.
Why you're here?
Thank you.
But that's the thing with me is they don't represent reality right now, as far as I can tell, especially with the complete fiscal irresponsibility. There is no way for the right to remain politically viable if we don't do the difficult things and say, okay, no, we need to cut the spending. Spending cuts are how you adjust a budget, not tax increases.
And a lot of the most wasteful spending, or the biggest spending, is in entitlements that, they're just as dear to the Republican hearts in Congress as they are to Democrats. And for a long, long time, the Republicans refused. It was like a sacred cow. They refused to touch some of those entitlement programs. Yeah. But you're seeing that change. You've seen, up in Wisconsin, there's a legislator that has stepped up, and he's got a terrific plan. And I'm sure you're aware of Paul Ryan. And, for years he's been talking about that stuff, but the Republican leadership in Congress said, don't talk about that.
Paul Ryan's fantastic.
He's a rock star, isn't he?
You got a couple good Tea Party endorsements this week, right?
I sure did, yeah.
Tell everybody where they can contact you online and give you money. Money, people.
It's key. If you're a Tea Party candidate, money is not flowing into your pockets. The moderate candidates, people want to be friends with them through their checkbooks. The conservative candidates, not so much. You need real people sending you money. And if real people want real people to serve them, they've got to break out their wallets a little bit and help them.
And where can they funnel the cash to you right now?
If they just go to my website, which is Gorman 2010, that's Gorman 2010.com. There's a big contribute link. You can't miss it, right on the front page. And any amount is welcome. It truly is. I know a lot of people say that, but we really mean it. We're being funded largely by small donors and real people that are down on their luck like everybody else right now in this economy, but they understand it's an investment.
Real Americans.
Yes.
Thanks for being here, Pamela.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. If you want to learn more about Pamela, you can visit, as she said, Gorman2010.com. For PJ TV, thanks for watching. I'm Stephen Cruiser.